Molly, we're so glad you're here today. So Molly Baginski is she's the studio technician at the Minnesota Center for Book Arts. And it's a beautiful space. Who here has visited Minnesota Center for Book Arts? Yay! Well, if you haven't visited, today we get a tour and we're so excited Molly's gonna show us around. Also, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but we went to school at the same time at Indiana University.
We did.
Yeah, so go Hoosiers. And so that's my little baby introduction. I'll let you introduce yourself more. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for showing us around the Minnesota Center for Books.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Molly Baginski. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the studio technician at Minnesota Center for Book Arts. As Steph said, we're located in Minneapolis, downtown near the football stadium. If you've been to Minneapolis, you've seen the giant football stadium. Our center, I talk about it more in the video, and the reason that I did a video and not a live tour is because we have a really large space and the print shop is in the basement, and I do not trust the Wi-Fi in the basement to be reliable enough to do live television. So it's a recorded tour, and feel free to, ask questions afterwards. Hopefully I can answer them. I tried to highlight the things that I thought that you would find interesting. But yeah, Minnesota Center for Book Arts is the largest and most comprehensive book art center of its kind in the United States. There's also centers in New York and San Francisco. We have two and a half floors of printing equipment. We cover paper making, book arts, of course, screen printing, paper marbling, letterpress printing, and many additional related disciplines. So I've been at this job for almost a year. I really, really love it. It's a great place to work, and the work is a lot of fun. I do want to say that something that we've been thinking a lot about as an organization, and something that I think about a lot in letterpress, and this is maybe difficult to hear, but it's that it's a very, very white place. We all have good intentions, and we're all really happy to be part of this community. But I think that for me personally, having gone to Indiana University and then been able to take an unpaid internship at Hat Show Print and have additional opportunities come to me were hugely in part because of my white privilege, that I had generational wealth that could support me through those endeavors. And I think that's something that we should be talking about. And if you want to talk to me about it more later, I would be happy to do that. But I felt like it was important for me to tell you that that's why I can have this job. So anyway, going forward, I'm happy to answer any questions about that later. I'm excited to show you this video, and I'm going to do a screen share now, if that's okay, Steph.
Yeah, please do. And thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully this works. Here we go.
Okay, so here we are in Open Book, which is the site of Minnesota Center for Book Arts. This is our lovely entryway and our atrium. The centerpiece of the atrium is this book-themed stairwell and this installation of, I think it's called 15,000 Memories of Water. So we've got thousands and thousands of tiny books hanging from strings installed on the ceiling, and this really incredible staircase in the center. So obviously things look a little bit different than normal at Open Book. Normally we've got tables and chairs, we've got a coffee shop, and a lot of people here working, socializing, meeting, but our building is closed for this foreseeable future, so it's been really quiet around here. So Open Book is the building that we are in, as you can see, established in the year 2000, and the three organizations that are the main and founding tenants are the Loft Literary Center, Milkweed Editions, and MCBA. So the Loft offers Literacy Education, and Milkweed Editions is a local publisher. And so all three of these organizations are focused on the book and collectively bought the building in 2000. And then we also have a few other tenants in the building, the coffee shop. I think there's a massage place and a consulting place upstairs. The building is 4 floors. The building is over 100 years old, and I believe it's sort of like 3 buildings smashed together to create the one, and one of the 3 at least was, from what I understand, a cooperage, a barrel making facility, and there's a cool feature in the basement that I'll show you later that has to do with that. So over here, right near the entrance, we have our shop. I'll go in there through the gallery a little bit later, but we carry products from local artists on consignment, and then we carry art supplies that our users can purchase if they arrive at our studios and forgot to bring the bone folder or etc. And let's see, this is the entrance to our gallery. We're all locked up right now, so I'll go in through a different entrance. Okay, so up the stairs is our offices. Nothing particularly exciting up there, but through this entrance, the first thing you see is our library, and this is a really incredible collection of books. I highly recommend, if you're in town, you've got some time to kill, just come here and spend some time perusing, because we've got a lot of fantastic information in here. A lot of old printing books, of course. Let's see, here we got at least 3 copies of Rob Roy Kelly's American Wood Type. Let's see, some thick specimen books. I think this is the ATF catalog. Yeah. So we got books on letterpress printing, screen printing, bookmaking, of course, paper making, illustration, general art, graphic design. A lot of good stuff in here. So now I'm walking into the gallery. Obviously a little bit different than usual. We've had an exhibition up for a few months, but covered up the cases with tablecloths to prevent from sun damage. Unfortunately, this exhibition wasn't open for very long before COVID closed everything down, so I don't think the public really got to see it for too long. But the centerpiece is this book called My Mighty Journey by Gaylord Chanelec and his team of artists. So this book is incredible. It's huge. I hope that you can see it in person someday. It's based on the journey of the Mississippi River in northern Minnesota through the Twin Cities and farther south. So it was printed here in the basement letterpress studio. That'll be the end of the tour, using our wood type and our metal type. Sorry about the glare. Some of the paper in the book is handmade, I believe, by Cave Paper, which is a local paper maker that's been around for many years. You've probably heard of them. The type is letterpress, and the images are wood engravings. So it's difficult to capture the amount of detail in this image, but it's amazing. And some of the wood engravings in the book were made using wood sourced from the banks of the Mississippi River. So I'm not sure about this piece in particular, but you can see that this, is a piece of raw wood grain that was engraved and printed. So yeah, incredible detail. I believe this is maybe 4 colors, but layered to look like many more, of course. So this exhibition focuses on my mighty journey, but it also has work in it from other members of our artist studio collective, although some of it has been returned to the artists recently. So we have a number of gallery shows every year, some local, some national, some international, covering a wide range of topics, and we're planning those out many years in advance. Obviously our schedule has changed a little bit with the pandemic, so I guess I'm not exactly sure what is next or what the schedule is going to look like for the next few months or the coming year, but we're figuring it out. So now I'm going into our shop. Again, we carry products made by our local community, our artist collective. Got a wall of zines, postcards. So lots of different mediums represented here. Some art supplies. There's Alan Kitching's book. Yeah, this is mostly the letterpress section in here. Let's see, itinerant printer, ladies of letterpress. Got a little bit of a kids section as well. So if you're in the Twin Cities and you need a gift for a printer in your life, I would highly recommend our shop. We are in the process of creating an online store, as well as a new brand and website for MCBA. So we're hoping that'll be ready to go in the next few weeks, and that some of these products will be offered online at that time. So we're looking out onto Washington Avenue in Minneapolis. If you visited or not, we're near the very large football stadium. That's sort of the landmark nearest by. And in our windows right now are posters that say, "His name is George Floyd and his life matters." We put them up about a month ago after George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. Yeah, we've printed a whole lot of copies and set them out front in boxes for the community to take posters that they want to hang in their windows, bring to protests. A little bit of a mess in here right now. So we're going to go back through the gallery and into our studios. So MCBA was founded in 1983. They were at a different location in the North Loop of Minneapolis at the time. They moved over to this building in 2000, and we've been here ever since. So we are the largest and most comprehensive book art center of this kind in the United States. You probably know there are also centers in New York and San Francisco. So this is our bindery and this is our paper prep area. So we've got flat files full of paper, teaching materials, 2 guillotine paper cutters, freshly sharp blades. We've got our giant board shear. That blade's about 4 feet long. Storage. And this is the area where we prep our materials for youth and adult education, and our collective members can come in and prep their paper as well up here. So our artist collective is a group of folks who pay a monthly fee to use our studios. They have 24/7 access, and we have a scheduling system that allows folks to book a specific area or a specific press if they are working, you know, on something really big, something really small, or they like the quirks of the Universal, for example. So this is our Flexi Space. We're in the process of changing the names of some of our studios because Flexi Space is a little bit confusing. But on a normal weekday in a non-pandemic time, this room would be full of children learning how to make a book, learning how to letterpress print, learning how to make paper. We have many, many thousands of school kids of all ages coming through our space every year. We've got a group of really talented teaching artists who are giving them an education in book arts and related matters. So this stuff is set up for some kits. With the pandemic, we've had to sort of figure out ways to shift our programming to accommodate folks that are learning at home. So these will be boxed up and either mailed out or picked up by parents or teachers and given to kids. And then I believe our teaching artist, our lead youth artist, Madeline Garcia, will be teaching them virtually how to create a book. So over here we have one of our Vandercooks. What is this? Universal One. And this is the press that most of the school groups use. Sometimes they'll do a class that cycles through this area with making books, this area with printing, and then in a second I'll show you the wet studio where they do some paper making. So we've got 2 iron hand presses. I'm going to walk back into our bindery. Got this nice, huge table for folks to work. So this is where we teach our book classes, you know, sewing, etc. Got some foil stampers over here and a drill press. Another giant board shear. You can see some of the cool architectural details of the building. This nice brick archway. So now we're going into the wet studio. We've got this coating on the floor that makes it waterproof so folks can splash around with paper pulp and it'll all drain into the center of the floor. Hydraulic press for pressing the water out of your paper. Drying racks. This is also where our marblers work and where we have our marbling classes, and that's a really popular part of our programming. Those classes sell out pretty much immediately all the time. Then we've got our beater room with 2 of our 3 paper beaters. Okay, so now we're going down to the basement where my favorite stuff is. So to the right we have our lower level wet studio. So we do some paper making down here and also screen printing. Got our washout booth. Here's our 3rd paper beater. nicely arranged squeegees. And then these, you maybe also saw in the upper level wet studio, we call these the turtles, and they're these large tables on wheels that you can move around. So you can do your paper making on these, you can cover them with plastic to do marbling, and then the screen printers also use them. So hanging on the wall over here, we have these tabletops with your clamps. So you can roll the turtle over here, pick up one of these and put it on top of the turtle. It sits snugly on top, and then you can screen print and then put the tabletop away when you're finished. And that's a way we figured out to maximize the use of the space for different uses. So down this hallway, got a dark room. It's for burning your screens. We've got a plate maker and screen storage. This is the artist in residence room. In the past, we've had artists in residence at MCBA. That program is currently on pause, not just because of COVID, it was on pause for a few years now. We're trying to reassess what this space could be better used, because square footage is obviously at a premium, and we're trying to think about like what things do our community want to make, and could we use this space to facilitate that. So we've got another universal in here. It is really nice in a pandemic to have a separate room with a separate press in it, so we can have more people in our studios printing safely distance away from each other. Okay, and now we're getting to what you really came here to see, which is our press room and our type. So we have a lot of Vandercooks. We keep them covered up, as you can see, most of the time because it gets pretty dusty down here, but I've uncovered a couple of them for us to look at. This is our classroom area. Got a big show card over there and some show card metal type. Got a Conrad etching press as well. So here's one of the number 4s. This is probably our most used press. It's easy, it's not too big. Kids can use it. Our teaching artists use it. When I teach letterpress 1, I use it. Yeah, it's a good press, we all know. I've got some color-coded furniture here, really nice. That was a project that was done before I worked here, but I love it. Storage. Here's the lockup of type from our George Floyd posters. This is show card type as well. It's the biggest font that we have. Oops. This is our rags and inking area, tools, sink, etc. So we've also got another number 4, an SP20, nicely labeled with their covers, the Universal 3 with the tower. Here's a 219 with those beautiful shiny, I guess they're brass parts. Another 219 right next to it. Got an old style C&P. This doesn't get a lot of use, but it is fun to use from time to time with the treadle feed and this slightly awkward but necessary protective covering over the gears. We've got some little guys, some little Kelseys, Pilot, couple more pilots. And then this is our largest press, the Vandercook SP25, that great big press bed. And it's got a motorized carriage, so you're not gonna get quite as much of a workout. And then this is the architectural detail that I wanted to mention, this archway that's been bricked up, sort of spooky Edgar Allan Poe style. We think that when this building, pardon me, was a barrel making facility, that they would make the barrels and then roll them down that previous hallway towards the river, instead of just having to bring them back up to street level and bring them over to the river, because that faces northward towards the river, so pretty cool. And then this is our type library. So this is where we hold our letterpress classes. By my count, we have about 40 fonts of wood type and about 600 cases of metal type. Reference books, storage, tools. Got a little proof press in here with some carbon paper for students to, you know, make their proofs before they get on the big presses. So here's some of our wood type. I think one of my favorites is the Gothic chromatic. It's not quite complete, unfortunately, but really beautiful. Grabs more charred. Diner bums. Branch soused. Let's see, we got some Etna. So lovely. At number 5. This this cabinet needs a little bit of repair, or I'm thinking about asking the budget for a new one, because the bottom left, as you can see, isn't really doing its job very well. And our metal type is organized alphabetically for the most part, but it's challenging when we get a new font of type and we have to add it to the alphabetical system if there's no room in that particular cabinet. So, you know, we're starting with A's and B's over here, but there are certainly cases shoved in here and there that don't quite fit into that system. But it's a really fantastic collection. Got your leading, your slug cutters. As you know, if you work in a community print shop, or any print shop really, keeping things organized is always a challenge. We try and label things as clearly as possible. So another part of MCB's programming, in addition to the youth education and the adult education classes that we offer, we have open studios, usually on Tuesday nights, and that allows folks that already know how to print to pay a fee and come in and use the space for the duration of the evening. It's usually 4 to 9 p.m. So if you know how to print and you can prove it to us, you can come in, use the space, use the type, and get your printing done. We have amongst our artist collective are 4 or 5 folks who help us as studio monitors. So they help keep our space clean, help keep presses oiled, keep screens clean, keep ink organized, and in exchange for their 5 or 6 hours of work a week, also assisting students do their work and assisting people in the studios with any questions that they have. They are part of the artist collective and have the 24/7 access to the studios. So a lot of those folks are like recent grads from MCAD or the University of Minnesota who need access to printing, maybe don't want to put a printing press in their basement just yet. And they're a really important resource to our community because they're really knowledgeable and help a lot of folks with their projects. All right, I think that's it for our space. And now we'll move it back to questions and answers. Thanks.
That was delightful. Yeah. Yeah, can everybody hear everything okay?
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. I forgot to say some things, so I'm going to circle back and mention MCBA's mission is to ignite community and creativity through the book arts, and also to lead the advancement of the book as an evolving art form. So we're currently tinkering with our mission language and trying to straddle the line somewhere between this equipment and these techniques are historic and important, but also we want to look to the future and make sure that we're not using language that feels so hoity-toity that any person off the street couldn't come in and want to use our space, because that's really important to us. What I do as studio technician at MCBA is clean things all the way from, refilling paper towel dispensers and sweeping the floor to maintaining the presses and fixing them if they break. All of our studio areas just need to be frequently organized and reassessed for storage and how to better be used. So I do that type of stuff. I help people at Open Studio print the things that they want to print. I teach classes, and then lots and lots of odds and ends in between. It's a lot of fun. And then Steph mentioned earlier that we met at Indiana. I was a student there from 2005 to 2009. I got my BFA in graphic design while she was getting her MFA, and that's where I met like David Wolski and Tom Walker and Paul Brown and Vita and Katya, and like a lot of people in the Ways Goose and Hamilton community are like went through the Indiana program. So it was really cool to, it is really cool to continue to be able to connect with those people regularly now as we're all colleagues. Oh, and I also forgot to mention our type organization system in the basement. So we have this volunteer, Ken, who's been coming in for many years to organize our type. And I think he's spent like hundreds, if not thousands of hours down there organizing things. And he created for us it's sort of like our own type Bible or our own like Rob Roy Kelly. So he has written down all of our fonts, all of the sizes that they have, details about them, like if they only have uppercase or only have lowercase, or they're missing the letter Q or whatever. And they're alphabetical, and then you can also go to another section and they're organized by size. So if you have a project and you're like, oh, I need a 10-point Gothic, I wonder what we got. You can like quickly look through the binder and see, oh, we've got Futura and we've got this or that or the other thing. So it's a really fantastic resource, and it's specific to our type library. So I can share that if anybody's curious, if you are trying to figure out a way to better organize your collection. So yeah, I think that's all the things that I wrote down that I wanted to mention. So
That was amazing. I mean, that's a beautiful space, but it's really fun to like sit and see it in that way. There was a question, the Mullins asked about the database for type, and you answered. Bob and Carol, did you want to know anything more about the database?
Not really. We keep a database of our type. We've got about 800 fonts, and we need to have that database And so you can, organize it by name, by size, whatever, by type foundry, whatever kind of organization you want, and you can update it, when you get new type, or you lose some type somehow. So, but, it's handy to have it on the computer, and then you can update it when you need to every year or two.
Yeah, it's easier to update on the computer than it is in the type room.
We're still in the process at Hamilton of doing that. We have a volunteer who is really amazing. He's Reiner's been going through all of our patterns, and he used the type Bible is what we call it as well, the pattern Bible, and it took him 2 years to go through all of he photographed every pattern. He and now we're actually in the organization point, so probably another 2 years. Hopefully he's up for it, but so yeah, we've got the type and the patterns, which is interesting.
Cool.
Ooh, Lori just asked what program or app is anyone using for type organizing, and anyone who wants to share. Molly, you can specifically speak to what you guys are doing, but anyone who wants to share, that'd be great to hear.
Well, I use Microsoft Access, but you can use Excel too. Either one of those would work fine.
We use Excel at the Book Arts program.
I just started a Google spreadsheet so I can update it from the shop if I'm not at my computer. Still in progress though.
I have hundreds of shards of paper.
You never lose them ever, right, Rick?
Well, no, they're right here. And like, just don't get weird.
Yeah, it's his recipe box.
Fine. It's a perfectly appropriate
That looks
method
easy
of filing.
to figure out. It's not complicated at all.
Yeah,
I'm
color coded.
That's an idea.
Color coded. It's perfect.
Just a lucky dip. Which one today? This one.
It's a game of chance, really.
Ooh, there was another question about color-coded furniture. Yeah, so please tell us more about that.
So the person in my position before I had this job, that was one of their projects, and I think that they probably just used paint that we had lying around from exhibitions or something. And I'm not sure if they kind of ganged up the furniture in a group and then just used a roller or something to paint it on the ends, but they did a good job so that it didn't paint the sides accidentally. So I'm not sure if they had paper in between. I will say that the three colors that we have down there, they're kind of close to each other. So that's the only thing. I would say if you're gonna do it, make sure that you're just sticking with primary colors or very bright shades, because if someone is vision impaired, I don't know if that they would be able to tell the difference in our furniture colors. So I've thought about redoing it, but I haven't had the time yet.
What is the difference between them? How are they? How are they coded?
Right now it's just 3 furniture cabinets. One is blue, one is purple, one is
just
gray.
so you know where they go back. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And we have at least 2 or 3 more furniture cabinets that are not color coded, and it's not like they can't be interchanged with each other, of course, but.
We have red, white, and blue for 6, 8, and 10. We have green for 15.
Okay.
And then we'll just keep on going, but we use spray paint.
Okay.
And we basically, I band everything together and then hit the short ends of the furniture and the reglets, especially reglets. We have tins of reglets that are just red, white, and blue, and green, and gold. So 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 are all color-coded. And then after 15, we don't color-code anything anymore. It's just because we need buckets of it, because I tend to work with too many words. And, my 6-line manifestos that I write, those take a lot of time. So just for easy grabs,
Yeah.
nothing goes back into drawers or goes back into reglet scales for that. It just goes into a tin.
Yeah, we don't have, or I would like us to have more riglets. We have lots of furniture and we have lots of letting. Because most of our type is metal and smaller, we don't need riglets as much as like you do, Rick, or like at show print or something. But I would like us to get more because they're easy and you can do things like that where it's like, it takes a lot less time to put them away properly.
Yeah.
You guys know that Ray Tomaso died this week? Yeah.
Yeah,
That
he'll
was-
be missed. I know.
Yeah, that was really quick, really rough. And he and I were conspiring on all sorts of fun stuff. Like I would say, yeah, I need a tub of 8-line. He's like, I gotcha, and he'd bring over a big old tub of 8-line and just drop it at my doorstep. Here, give me $20, get out of here. I really appreciated how supportive he and Tom and a bunch of other guys in our community have always just been and of course I'll call myself the young buck, but I've always been sort of young for them. And now there's younger people for me to call young, which is terrific. Ian. But yeah, we lost Ray this week, and that was a big thing.
Yeah, the community that we have is amazing. It's really amazing. I love how sharing the letterpress community is. That everyone's willing to like say, "Oh, this is how I did it." Like there are secrets, but not very many. So I think that's really amazing that everyone's willing to share.
And like one thing I love about my job is those like print shop hacks, if you will, and like the tips and tricks that all of you have. Like I want to know them and I want to compile them into a document that we can all share with each other. Like, so to that end, let's start a document. Awesome.
I'm working on a document. You want to join in?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. I'm working on the Proctor Handbook for anyone who is being given the responsibility of managing a college print shop, or in your case, a community print shop.
Yeah.
And if someone's been given the responsibility of managing it, then it's kind of like a quick chapbook of sorts that just says, this is the way we organize things, and it's sort of full of gaps where you could fill it in and then print off multiple copies. And it's basically like how to get to know this space in a way that helps you make great use of it. And also for lots of students, it's a semester work study job, which means that they have a choice to take it seriously or not. And we want them to be bitten by the bug. So the idea is to give them as much useful information at one time and then let them sort of explore it, instead of not having time to teach them everything and then having them feel like they're just getting the hang of it by the end of the semester, sort of thing, So
I would love to get in on that too.
who said that?
Val.
That was Val.
Val, hey.
Mhm.
All right, yeah.
If you can CC on me, for me, I'd appreciate it as well. This is Stephanie.
I'm looking at the big grid. I can't see everyone's mouths moving at the same time.
I do find it very interesting. We started to do ink and drinks, which are just 3-hour little workshops. And we started to put all the tools that they would need out for the evening, because then they didn't have to learn the space. When they come back for that full day workshop, we'll make sure, they see where all the tools are, but that just having everything they needed right, where a participant could reach it was nice. It allowed them to get into the, because we did a couple without that and it was pure chaos for the first half hour. So that was an interesting thing we found about using spaces.
And so MCBA is going to be reopening to our artist collective on Monday. So we've spent the last couple months developing protocols about like what is expected of our users for safety and for health concerns. And so this week I was preparing things like 30 brand new pairs of like long, thick gloves that I have labeled with your names, and they go in your mailbox. with the form that you have to sign that says, I promise to clean up after myself and wear a mask at all times in the studios. And we're putting out things like bins for, you know, used bone folders, scissors, other types of tools. So like, I know next week, I know who used this. I know if 5 days has gone by, I probably don't need to clean them because a virus can't live that long on a surface. But if it's been 24 hours, I'm going to give these a quick like rub down with the antiseptic wipes and then put them back. And so then we know who's used what and what is safe. We're trying to figure out the best way for folks to use like metal type. Because if you sneeze on a case of type and don't tell anyone, that could really be a problem. So we're asking folks to just label the cases that they use with their name and the date so that the next person will know like, oh, maybe I feel a little nervous, or like if you're immunocompromised, for example, I really don't want to go near that case of type today. But if I wait a week, maybe I could use it. And so we're doing these things that some days feel like that's overkill, that's too much, but other days it's like, no, that feels really important right now. And it would be tragic, of course, if one of our community members, artists, staff members got sick. So like, we're going to do this slow rollout in the next couple weeks and see how it goes. I'm sure all of our best intentions, you know, have been laid, but not all of those will come to fruition or work very well. But I'm excited to see more people in the studios. We're restricting just how many people can be in at one time, just like one person per studio area, basically. And we're using like an online reservation system for people to book time slots. So if anyone's curious about how that goes in a couple weeks, I can update you because I'm very hopeful. And people seem to be very excited to be able to come back.
Yeah, that's somebody asked. Ooh. Someone asked about how you guys will be cleaning the presses or sanitizing the presses.
Yeah, so our executive director is on the call, Elisa Voshell, and she just chimed in the chat that we're using Microban. It's a product that we found that apparently is used in gyms and continues to sanitize for 24 hours after one use, whereas like, as far as I understand, a Lysol, you know, you spray something with it, once somebody touches it, it's no longer actively like doing the cleaning job. So with the presses, folks will record which ones they use, and then it's my job to go in and clean them basically with, you know, not so much disinfectant that it would negatively affect the working of the press, but all of the touch points, the feed board, the handle, all that stuff. So hopefully that will work.
Yeah, does anyone else have anything they're doing specifically in their studio? We're supposed to open on the 7th and we just moved our date back. We don't have a date now. Wisconsin numbers are also going up a lot. So that's our reason. But anyway, does anyone else have anything you guys are using? I saw Barbara shared an image that you made that, right, Barbara? You designed that?
Yeah, I'm just sending a text. I've made this available to my Chicago alderman, and my local coffee shop is using it, but it's available in French, Spanish, English, and Polish, and it's available for free. Just email me. I have a PNG and a PDF in all 4 languages, and God bless Dr. Fauci, but he can't do it all. And we do not have a valid leader at the top of our country, so we all have to make this happen.
This also should be in German, no? This looks like Eric's typeface.
It's exactly, and I haven't emailed him because I don't know German. I have 1 semester, I'm hopeless. but maybe I should just email and say, please, could you?
Yeah, would you translate? All right.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hold on. Well, no, keep talking.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm not going to be there at all of the times when artists are going to be there using the studios. So they're signing a piece of paper that says they're going to follow the rules. I hope that they actually do follow the rules. And we all know that wearing a mask is unpleasant, but it doesn't matter. It's still something that you have to do all the time. So I'm a little worried about that, is like, are people actually going to keep the mask on for the entire time that they're in the studios? We'll see. I might have to be the bad guy.
right? We're all learning to be the nice bad guys to keep us all safe.
Yeah,
Like we're all in it. We are all in it together. So
Yeah, we've
especially in
started
shared
teaching.
spaces.
We've started teaching here at our very small workshop, and you do have to remind people. You know, they pull the mask down to talk to you. It's like, you know, it's kind of not the point, you know. And yeah, so it is. You do, even though they're all adults. You know, that's adults. You have to remind them the whole time, and you know, we're doing a lot of press handle wiping, and but you have to constantly reinforce it. So.
Yeah, I think my classes are going to be mostly digital this fall, but I'm hoping to get the provisional presses that Erin is working on getting, the little like tabletop proof presses, and I'll hopefully have 4 students come in. They'll each have a press they can use, and that'll be it for the week. And then next week it'll be another batch of people.
If you've got a public space, or if you're planning on having a public space, we have just, Jason and I did another run, but we've just printed that on coasters.
Yeah.
And the back also tells you just sort of what the spaces are. It's too small. It's fucking six point type. But I will send you a batch if you have a public space. I'll send you a batch of 10, because you cannot get together in groups larger than 10. And and it's free. We're happy to give them to you. So send me a note in the chat if you've got an address. You'll get these as soon as you like.
You hand set all that 6-point type, right, Rick?
We don't talk about that. I like to work in 6-line type.
I'm with you.
It's going to be a big coaster.
Well, we always have big drinks in Wisconsin, so it fits.
Yeah.
Rick, you sound extra British today.
It's because my mate's on the line. You have to understand. No, it's like if somebody gets on the phone and they want to talk to me in English, then I can talk in English.
Yeah, all right.
But it does not come out unless you're English or Welsh or Scots or you know, something. And yeah, so that's my mate right there.
Yeah. Best buddies.
I've been looking up where you are in the country, and I've been like, okay, so when I get back, I have to take a trip. Oh, bloody hell. And I'm just like, I'm going to go all the way down there. No, I've been trying to plot a way that just like clips into Southampton, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you guys live in a country where you just travel about 5 miles to get a coffee, you know, 5 hours to get a coffee. You know, it's like a commute from up north down to here for you lot.
Well, Tom Walker, who's on the call, is actually 3 hours and 15 minutes away from me right now. I think.
That's local.
Practically local, exactly. It's in the same state. And I was just trying to figure out if
we don't drive 20 minutes. That seems like a long way away in England.
Yeah.
We're like,
where's Tom if not in Indiana?
He's in Salida, Colorado.
An undisclosed location.
Oh, I'm sorry. An undisclosed
No, I'm just kidding. I'm too soon.
Late now.
What have I done?
Tom's like, we don't talk about Tom's location. Tom is like Fight Club.
I'm afraid I cannot tell you exactly the location of Tom, but I will say that I could reach him in under 4 hours with reasonable traffic. There he is.
Yeah, Jason. Oh, go ahead. Oh, did Jason come back from his mountain retreat finally?
Yeah, and then right into a pool pass of some kind that he got from one of his friends that went out of town. Gave him a pass that was like, you can sign up for use of my pool anytime while I'm out in 3-hour increments. And I was like, how is this not exactly white privilege? But anyway. So I think he's hanging out with the kids by the pool and having a nice weekend of it. But he worked on this yesterday for me because I can print only so much so quickly, and this was designed last week, and he said that he would throw it on press this week. So we've been doing a lot of that. Like while I'm getting ready to do one thing, he'll print something else for me. And then I'll print, the poster on my end, and he'll print the coaster on his end. And it's been just really collaborative and really great. And we've got a few other secret projects in the mix as well that are going to be pretty exciting moving forward.
And Meredith has a good question. We talked about this on Amanda's call forever ago, but will you talk a little bit about the Arabic or Hebrew wood type you're looking at getting for MCBA?
Yeah, the details of this are not incredibly public yet, but we have some money to spend, and we want to use it to purchase Arabic type and Hebrew type to reach more people into our community so that they can print more things. The challenge, for me as an English and only English speaker is that those languages are not written left to right, they're written right to left, among other things. And from what I learned about Arabic, each letter has a lot of different formats, like I think up to 4 different formats, depending on where it sits in a word. So to have a complete font of Arabic, you need lots and lots of sorts. So we're trying to figure out a way to spend the money best. Is it with more sorts, or is it with a bigger font of type? Like we haven't figured out the details yet. And then like right as I was starting to do some research, COVID happened. So I'm not any further along in the project than I was like a month or 2 ago when we talked about it. But a lot of you have reached out to me with different resources, and I really appreciate it because we have to get it right. And part of the money is going to be spent to hire people who are native speakers to make sure that we get it right. It's like, we get it wrong, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah. I was really surprised when I visited Minneapolis to learn that it is the largest Somali community outside of Somalia. And I had no idea of that before I had visited. So it'd be really interesting to see the community outreach that can occur if you acquire that type.
Yeah, and a neighborhood in Minneapolis called Cedar Riverside has a lot of Somali Americans, and they're like 1 mile from us. So like they're very much our neighbors. Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful way to end it. If there's any other last minute questions, and actually, Molly, you had given me your email. You don't mind if I share that in the chat?
Please do, yeah.
Okay.
Please
great.
reach out if you have any questions or concerns. If you're in town and you want to stop by for a visit, we've probably got plenty of time, and the place is going to be pretty much empty. So.
Well, we will make sure to share that. I do want to also say thank you everyone for joining us. It was so nice that you could be here today.